On March 25, 2025, Rachel Zegler found herself facing the ultimate Hollywood nightmare, watching her own film flop in real time from the nearly empty seats of a theater. The much-hyped, woke Snow White remake, which many had pegged as Hollywood's next big thing, didn't just fail. It evaporated into obscurity. With barely a soul in sight, Zegler, along with a few die-hard friends, Isla Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel Demison, were among the handful of people who braved the screening. It was a brutal reality check for Zegler, who had once been hailed as one of Hollywood's brightest stars. But now, with the box office numbers rolling in, the message was loud and clear. No one showed up. Thanks to Isla's Instagram stories, fans got an exclusive front-row seat to the cringeworthy experience. As Zegler's name flashed on the screen, Isla screamed in excitement, but Rachel could only awkwardly laugh and cheer for herself. It was unclear whether they had rented the theater or if the emptiness was just the result of the film's disastrous reception, but the group made the most of it. They even took part in a viral trend, approaching a Regal employee and asking, "2 tickets, please." When the employee innocently asked, "For which movie?" the camera panned to them holding their Snow White-themed popcorn bucket and souvenir cup, all while looking completely baffled. It was a moment of surreal humor in the midst of a career-defining flop.
Please?
For which movie?
As if the night couldn't get more painfully ironic, Rachel Zegler clutched a bouquet of flowers, likely a sympathy gift from her friends, since the box office certainly wasn't handing out any trophies. It seemed that while Rachel had played Snow White, the only thing this movie was kissing was rock bottom. With a measly $3.5 million in Thursday previews and a disastrous $43 million opening weekend, Disney's woke Snow White wasn't just a flop, it was an expensive one. For context, The Little Mermaid remake had a $95 million opening, leaving this disaster struggling to even stay afloat in the same ocean. And let's not forget Dumbo. Yes, Dumbo, which made almost the same amount on its opening weekend but with a far smaller budget. Speaking of budgets, Snow White came with a hefty price tag of over $250 million to produce, before even factoring in marketing costs. With movie theaters looking emptier than ever, critics and social media alike were having a field day. Seating charts flooded the internet, showcasing rows and rows of unsold tickets, with photos of audience members sitting alone in their sections. And because the internet can never resist a good joke, some were even suggesting a GoFundMe campaign to help Disney break even. Amidst the wreckage, an old clip of Zegler resurfaced, and let's just say it hasn't aged well. In the viral video, Rachel boldly declared that people would be lining up to see her films, despite any flaws or cracks. But now, the only thing stacking up are receipts, and they're all pointing to Snow White being an absolute royal disaster. It's a cruel twist of fate for an actress who once seemed destined for greatness.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Fast forward to reality, and the only thing waiting in line is the internet eager to roast her. Theaters across the country where deserted ticket sales were tragic, and critics wasted zero time calling her out. One user put it bluntly, "Welcome back to reality. Princess Snow White was a complete flop." Ian Miles Chong added fuel to the fire by reposting the clip on X, reminding everyone that Snow White is officially Disney's lowest-performing live-action remake in decades.
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
It turns out Snow White wasn't the only thing crashing and burning. Rachel Zegler's relationship with co-star Gal Gadot is now making headlines too. A bombshell report from Variety has peeled back the curtain on all the behind-the-scenes chaos surrounding Disney's latest disaster, and spoiler alert, Zegler was right at the center of it all. According to anonymous sources closely tied to Disney, execs were already uneasy about Zegler's out-of-pocket comments trashing the original Snow White, but instead of stepping in and reining her in, they stayed silent. Then came the real mess. Zegler took the stage at Disney's D23 event, all smiles and charm, until she ended her post-event gratitude message with a bold and unexpected political statement. You can bet Disney went into full panic mode. Execs were shook, realizing that their $270 million fairy tale had just spiraled into a full-blown political storm. Damage control became the studio's #1 priority as they scrambled to contain the fallout. It's safe to say the movie wasn't the only thing burning out of control.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that, saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Now, Jonah Platt has stepped into the ring, throwing some serious shade at Rachel Zegler over the disaster that was Snow White's box office performance. Jonah, the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, took to Instagram in a now-deleted comment to blast Zegler, and let's just say he didn't pull any punches. According to Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and People, Jonah spilled the tea that his father had to literally hop on a plane to personally scold Zegler for dragging her personal politics into the film's promo tour. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, Jonah wrote, before bluntly adding that her behavior clearly hurt the movie's success. Despite Mark Platt's efforts, including flying to New York to personally ask Zegler to cool it down, she wasn't exactly receptive at the time, and the post stayed up for quite some time. Meanwhile, the tension between Zegler and Gal Gadot took a nosedive. While insiders claimed the two were all smiles during filming, the lead-up to the movie's release got awkward fast. And it doesn't stop there. After the two presented together awkwardly at the 2025 Oscars, Zegler dropped what many saw as a backhanded jab at Gadot. In an Instagram reply, Zegler referred to Gadot as a professional pageant queen, which the internet immediately clocked as shady. Even Disney insiders agreed that the comment felt dismissive toward a fellow actress. But things had already been tense behind the scenes. You see, Zegler and Gadot found themselves on opposite sides of a highly charged political issue, which only made the already fraught situation worse.
Zegler also faced blowback after posting Free Palestine. Gadot is from Israel and served in the Israeli army.
Due to Zegler's posts expressing one-sided political support, things got even worse for her co-star Gal Gadot, who, because of her background, became the target of intense backlash and even threats to her safety. The situation escalated to the point where Disney had to shell out extra cash for security for the mother of four. According to insiders, Zegler didn't understand the full repercussions of her actions, for the film, for Gadot, or for anyone involved. She didn't realize the ripple effect, one source spilled. And as if that wasn't enough, the $270 million disaster of a film was already hemorrhaging money, thanks to costly reshoots and Zegler's never-ending controversial takes. Then came the final straw. After the presidential election, Zegler fired off an Instagram post reading, "May Trump supporters never know peace." That single sentence sent Disney executives into full meltdown mode. At this point, the studio had had enough. Zegler was alienating half of the potential audience for an already doomed film. In one last desperate attempt, Disney tried a Hail Mary. Producer Mark Platt personally flew out to meet Zegler not once, but twice. After much back and forth, Zegler finally agreed to work with a social media expert paid for by Disney to approve every single post leading up to the film's March 21st release. But just when it seemed like the drama between Zegler and Gadot might have settled, the online feud watchers picked up on something else. On March 20th, just hours before Snow White limped into theaters, Zegler took to Instagram to call the film a life-changing experience. She raved about the greatest crew in the world, and how she fell in love with the team over 3 magical summers in London. However, there was one glaring omission: Gal Gadot. No mention. No photos. Of course, the internet noticed. Could it have been an innocent oversight? Maybe. But when you factor in Zegler's Oscars night dig and all the behind-the-scenes tensions, it's hard not to see this as another subtle snub. And the drama doesn't stop there. If Snow White's disastrous box office numbers weren't already a fairy tale nightmare, the swirling controversies surrounding Zegler certainly aren't helping. From the moment Disney cast her as the new Snow White, the internet erupted. Some critics took issue with a Latina actress playing the traditionally pale-skinned princess, much like the backlash Halle Bailey faced when she was cast as the Little Mermaid's Ariel. Zegler, however, didn't hold back. In a now-deleted post, she fired back at the outraged critics, saying, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role," and even called her critics losers obsessed with maintaining the bloodline purity of a cartoon princess. That didn't exactly calm the storm. In a 2022 Variety interview with Andrew Garfield, Zegler acknowledged the controversy surrounding her casting, admitting that she had become a trending topic due to angry people. But while controversy can sometimes fuel a film's success, Snow White certainly didn't see that kind of magic. Zegler's Snow White has been fighting an uphill battle from the moment it was announced, and her own comments about the story haven't helped either. In a 2022 interview with Extra, she made waves when she called the original 1937 Snow White storyline weird. "There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird," she said, referring to Prince Charming. This only added more fuel to the fire of the growing backlash.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Disney had already hinted at modernizing the Snow White remake, but Zegler's choice of words made it sound like she was outright dismissing the original film's beloved romance. What really set people off, though, was when she said they were taking a different approach with the film. Critics accused her of trashing the very film she was supposed to celebrate, arguing that Snow White, the first full-length animated Disney movie, is a classic for a reason. The irony wasn't lost on many fans either. "If you hate the story so much, why take the role?" one fan wrote on X, echoing the frustration of many who felt that Zegler's comments were disrespectful to the legacy of the original. But just when things couldn't get messier, Disney's live-action Snow White wasn't just stirring up drama because of Zegler's casting. Oh no, the controversy went way deeper. Peter Dinklage had a lot to say about the film's handling of the Seven Dwarfs. During a 2022 episode of Marc Maron's WTF podcast, the Game of Thrones star didn't hold back. He found it deeply hypocritical that Disney was patting itself on the back for casting a Latina actress as Snow White, while still telling a story about seven dwarfs. Dinklage didn't mince words, calling the depiction of dwarfs in the story a backward step, and pointing out the contradiction in Disney's attempts at modern inclusivity while perpetuating outdated stereotypes. The situation quickly turned into a full-blown PR nightmare for the studio, with critics calling out both the casting and the film's handling of sensitive topics.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that f***ing backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the f*** are you doing, man?
Peter Dinklage's blunt criticism sparked a firestorm online when he questioned how Disney could push for progressiveness in one area by casting a Latina actress as Snow White, while keeping what he saw as an outdated portrayal of dwarfs living together in a cave. His remarks hit hard, especially as he called out the contradiction in Disney's attempts at modern inclusivity while perpetuating outdated stereotypes. "How is this progress?" he asked, igniting a heated debate. Soon, actor Weeman also chimed in, adding his thoughts on the issue, stating, "You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people." He argued that Disney's approach to the Seven Dwarfs was problematic, reducing them to a generic group of dwarfs when it could have been an opportunity for actors with dwarfism to be included. Some praised Peter for calling out Disney's selective approach to progress, arguing that it was a perfect example of how the studio's inclusivity efforts could feel half-hearted. Others, however, argued that he was erasing roles for actors with dwarfism, criticizing Disney for making a decision that could take away opportunities. The debate was loud, and Disney clearly took notice. The very next day, Disney scrambled to address the backlash. They issued a statement saying they were taking a different approach to the Seven Dwarfs and had been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. What they meant by that, however, was less than ideal. They scrapped the classic Seven Dwarfs altogether. Instead, they replaced them with CGI dwarfs. The backlash to this move was instant and brutal. Fans looked at Disney's CGI dwarfs and practically recoiled. The photorealistic approach felt off-putting, with many seeing it as a total misfire. Instead of modernizing the characters, Disney had created a version of the dwarfs that felt more alien than inclusive, adding yet another layer of controversy to an already messy production.
That is totally uplifting and the right way to be woke, Link, when you actually cancel the roles for the marginalized population because just putting them on screen is somehow racist.
Instead of capturing the charm and expressiveness of the original animated characters, Disney's digital creations of the Seven Dwarfs looked stiff, unnatural, and, well, just plain weird. And just like that, another chapter in Snow White's long, messy saga became yet another lightning rod for debate. But after all the drama, the real question was, would Disney still roll out the red carpet, or would they quietly sweep this mess under it? Turns out they went for the latter. According to Variety, Disney scrapped the usual fanfare in favor of a low-key daytime pre-party on March 15th, followed by an understated screening at Hollywood's iconic El Capitan Theater. Even the European premiere got the hush-hush treatment. Instead of the usual glitzy affair in London's Leicester Square, Disney tucked it away in a northern Spanish castle. What did this signal? A lack of confidence? A fear of further controversy? Or maybe a quiet admission that the film might not deliver? Whatever the case, for a project already drowning in scandal, this subdued premiere felt like yet another sign that Disney was bracing for impact. With a muted premiere, relentless backlash, and a box office performance that failed to live up to its $270 million price tag, Snow White wasn't just a fairy tale. It was a cautionary tale. As the dust settles, the real question remains. How did Disney get it so wrong? Let us know in the comments what you think of the PR nightmare surrounding the Snow White remake. And if you want more of the Snow White drama, this is the next video you need to watch.